Hey, what's going on? Miguel Lloyd, host of Life Full Circle Radio. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Relatively quiet week, I think. All the major stuff hit the fan last couple of weeks. As we know, Kamala Harris is just that much closer to selecting her VP, and then, of course, it'll be on like popcorn. So Donald Trump decided, okay, last Tuesday or whenever it was, Wednesday, Kamala had Megan Thee Stallion and some other folks here at Georgia State University. So he said, well, we're gonna go there too. Yeah. Then he gets there and he don't realize that Georgia State University might be one of the blackest colleges in America. He found out when he got there. So we'll talk about that. Kyle Rittenhouse, who you said, why isn't Miguel talking about Kyle Rittenhouse? I guess he's no longer a Trump supporter. Whatever. But now the MAGA folks are lighting him up because he's showing his disloyalty. But he's kind of like way over there, far right. I didn't know there was a farther place to the right than Donald Trump, but I guess there is. And so we'll talk about that. Olympics is going on. Been pretty entertaining outside of what happened with track and field. Where the Jamaicans decide, we out tomorrow. No, we're going to cook our goat at the house because they cheated us. And so we'll talk a little bit about that and some other stuff going on in Paris because people say it wasn't all that great of an experience. And NABJ. All right, so catch us on all the social medias, and this is us on, obviously, on the YouTube where we are right now. We're playing with fan base. I was listening to fan base, and Key already like, oh God, I know delete. Fan base, black owned. Ike the III, Isaac Hayes III owns it. And so I was just listening to one of their rooms earlier. It's pretty crazy what goes on in some of those rooms. So anyway, let me bring in the super producer.
What's super producer! Up? Hello, how are you?
Was I successful in keeping you from hearing my cough?
You were. I need to get a cough button. Right now I just have let me do it way over here. That's all I got. I don't have good enough equipment over on this side. I don't even got matching lights. My light is stuck on one color right now. I can't change it.
Is those still the lights that those are still the same lights?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. And they're great. I just can't fix it.
So anyway, how's your week going? Let's do all the pleasantries.
Well, my week sucked. It's only Monday, but I did not know there was a hurricane coming to Florida.
Oh, yeah.
No clue. It just was raining last night. It rains all the time in Florida. Why the hell do I care? In the middle of the night, it starts to blow so hard on the house, wakes me and my husband up.
Yeah.
We wake up, and there is a whirlwind of wind and rain and all kinds of stuff, which means I didn't want my mother-in-law on the road because she helps with the twins on Monday. Omar, for some reason, still had to go to work. So here I am with all the kids by myself, trying to work, trying to get things done. Horrible start to my week.
Yeah, we had some of Trey's friends were in town, and they came by the house because they actually got stuck in Atlanta. And they said, and they're going to Miami. They said, I think we're just going to drive. It was like, oh, no, you're not. I said, come from Atlanta, you have to go down on the west side of Florida and get into, and
you got to go 75 to Turnpike.
And one thing about down here in Georgia and Florida, these highways are extremely tree lined. I've driven a couple times and I've actually had trees that have fell across the entire highway. So they ain't nothing to play with. When it's time to sit down somewhere, you sat down somewhere and wait for it to pass, and then we're all good. All right. So anyway, so the week will get better. The week will get better because pretty soon we're gonna know who Kamala Harris's VP is going to be.
I thought you were gonna say pretty soon the kids go off to school because they go to school on next Monday.
Who yours? Do they? Is it pre-K?
It's pre-K.
It's pre-K. Okay.
That's what they call it. It's pre-K. They head off to school, backpacks, lunch boxes, heading off to a Christian school who's got some real strict rules. My mom and my mother-in-law are not happy. Okay, really quick, we're going to get into the show, but tell me if this is strict or not.
Sure.
They do have to be fully potty trained, which is normal at that age. I'm not worried about that. Sure. But their lunch, they have to be able to get through their lunch from start to finish without any assistance. So the teachers will not be coming over to help them take the lid off anything or unzip or any of that. They have to do the lunch all by themselves. Is that strict or not?
I don't know. Here's the thing. They want to, because I remember you couldn't bring peanut butter anything with peanut butter. So that couldn't be in the lunches. And then there was the whole potty training thing was important. Fortunately, I have girls, so that I think I was in good shape there. Some let me not use that term because somebody might get offended. Some of the strictest, most controlling people I've ever known have been preschool teachers. Some of them are worse than elementary school teachers. They are just like, and I think it's all because they know they got you over a barrel. You got to drop these youngins off to go make that money. You don't have no choice. And this is your first opportunity after you have been home with these kids for 2, 3, 4 years, that now all of a sudden I get away from them for 6, 7, 8, and a lot of us push it to the brink. What time can I drop them off? 6 a.m.? What time I got to pick them up? Oh, 6 p.m.? I'll be there at 5:59. I'll be there at 5:59 in the morning, and I'll be there to pick them up at 5:59 in the evening because I'm going to take advantage of this full 12 hours I'm paying for.
They doing after school care.
I know.
They will be only on Monday and Wednesdays because only 3 days a week. So before you guys think I'm a crap parent, Monday and Wednesday they will be at that school from 8:30 until 4. That's how long they will be at that school. Man,
it's not. We gotta live, man. We love our children, but sometimes you gotta take some space. So I'm just curious how long folks stayed of it. Anyway, so interesting week. And I didn't even know. We used to know whenever Trump were doing his presidency and they're doing all his rallies, we know when he's coming and when he's going. I had no idea Trump was in town last Saturday. I didn't care. But the fact that he came to Atlanta and had a whole rally in Atlanta, and we in Atlanta were just like, man, I'm going to eat some sushi. I'm good. Ain't nobody scared of y'all. Ain't nobody worrying about y'all. Y'all can run around here acting fool all you want. We good.
And that's the problem. Nobody cares. And he's using this whole slogan thing now, and we'll get into more of the Kamala stuff. I said it right. How, she needs celebrity. She needs celebrities to bring people in the arena. I don't need celebrities. You have been dragging around raggedy ass Chris Rock for how many years now?
Chris Rock.
Ted Nugent.
Kid Rock?
Kid Rock. Chris Rock.
Don't disrespect
I'm
Chris
sorry,
Rock.
Chris. I'm so sorry. He's been dragging around raggedy behind Kid Rock, Ted Nugent, Antonio Sabata Jr.
Yeah.
Old girl who died. Like it's so many.
Nobody care about.
Yeah, he's been dragging celebrities around, promoting them, putting up places. Yeah. Now she has one rally with celebrities. One. It's not like she's been doing this everywhere. And now all of a sudden it's like she needs celebrities to bring in the house. Okay, so let's get started. Like,
have as many celebrities as you want. You've been doing this stuff for the last 10 years. So and you find some old raggedy girl outside of Chick-fil-A out by Clark, Atlanta. Find your little black girl.
Don't talk bad about her. Don't talk bad about her.
Why not?
We may not agree. Let me just say this. We may not agree with her politics and her supporting Trump. I don't. But that woman, of all the people he's had on stages, was the best speaker and the most well-spoken. Tell me she wasn't.
I don't know because I didn't hear her. What I know is that the stunt she pulled at Clark, Atlanta, acting like she was just some old random person who just, I'm just a fan and like I just walked up. No, you were a plant. We know you were a plant, right? And then the whole situation where, they saved Clark, Atlanta. No, stop lying. You didn't save Clark, Atlanta. It's just hard for me.
Who saved Clark, Atlanta?
Trump got up on the stage and said he saved Clark, Atlanta during COVID. That was one. That was another one of the lies.
Why he's saying that though, right?
Why is he saying that?
So remember, he gave the money to the HBCUs. So he's counting that he saved all HBCUs from the brink of extinction. That's why he's saying that. It's not true.
Lie.
It's a lie. I know it's a lie. Yeah. And it hurts my feelings as an HBCU graduate and yours because, fam, you wasn't going down into the dirts and never going to open again. That's how he's acting like. He's acting like he's the first president to ever continue this funding.
This dude sat right there and said he's the best president black folks ever had since Abraham Lincoln. It's like...
I'm not going to say he's right. Oh, my God. Which makes me mad because it completely forgets the impact that John F. K. Jr. had in the civil rights movement. And people just like,
what he signed. Truman and what he signed. It's propaganda. It's trash. It's salesmanship. And I sit back and I look at this stuff and it's just like, dude, you're embarrassing yourself now. At this point, you are an embarrassment to the conversation around this whole thing. And so, but here's the scary thing about it. There's still conversation around there, around the fact that that there are electorates out there that are planted, that are election denialists, that are planted in these positions around the country, in these roles, and they're not done. You know, it's going to have to be a landslide of great proportions for this not to be a fight come November. I just think from October through January, because it's not going to end until the inauguration, it's going to be messy, really, really messy going forward.
It's going to be messy going forward, and then we have to deal with this other new thing that's even more annoying, and it's annoying to me on a personal level, is that Kamala's blackness is now being questioned, not only by Donald Trump, who at NABJ kept saying it weird, like he kept saying it. Was it black?
Like he was throwing up.
She's black. Like she's black. Like it was a weird way he was saying it, like it had a Q in it. Like I couldn't understand it.
You know, it was yeah. But go ahead and finish your thought, because you know you're gonna talk about the black people that's questioned.
This personally frustrates me, and Miguel knows this. It's because my children, my twins, Noah and Leela, are half Indian and half black. Right. They are Kamalas. They are, well, in Trinidad they call them Douglas, but I don't really think you're supposed to be saying that word in front of people. Douglas? It's called Douglas when they're half Indian, half black. And that's actually the preferred look in Trinidad, of having the dark skin and the curly hair and the whole thing. But it makes me worried that that narrative could be surrounding my kids one day, whether they go into sports, politics, or whatever, where people are going to make them pick a side. And if they don't stick to that side 100% 24/7, now you're not that side anymore. Oh, so you say you're the first Indian, NFL player. Noah, fine. And they're like, well, I thought he was black. Well, I guess he's not black and he's only claiming his father's side. Well, no, he just happens to be the first Indian because there are no other Indians doing this. The same way when she was the first Indian senator. It's because there had been other black women doing this. She literally was the first Indian because she's half Indian. That's why they're saying that. So those are my thoughts. Go ahead.
Well, the identity that is required in America that you have to claim, and white folks get to be the ones who determine what you claim to be, is the bullshit that really bugs the fuck out of us. This whole one drop rule was not something the black folks came up with, right? This is something that was determined by census and things of that nature, and so it was required for you to. So now you have people who are multiracial. Like you said, this is a black woman. I don't know why we got to keep having this conversation. This is a black woman, HBCU graduate, grew up black, grew up in Oakland. She's black and she's Indian. But here's what we do. Here's who else are black and Indian. West Indians. People who are a big part of black culture. I eat more Caribbean food than I eat soul food because I love Caribbean food, which means I love Indian food. We eat Indian food all the time. I love them.
I do. So.
Yeah, I love being able to delve into other Thai. We went and had Thai food the other night. Never been to Thailand. Love Thai food. Love the different spices. Love the fresh vegetables. All of that. So, for this man to sit up here at an NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists conference, and try to diminish this woman's heritage, you don't get to determine that, Donald Trump. You don't get to determine that, average white man, what I say that I am. Like, I've got a picture in my living room right now, and to this day, my grandfather, we don't know what he was. He could have been Sicilian, he could have been Italian, he could have been Middle Eastern for all we know. We don't know what he was. And we don't care. You know what I mean? When I look at my brothers and sister twins out in Arizona and their kids, you see my brother, you think he might be Hispanic. You see my sister, you think she's a really, really fair black woman. But it's white folks who keep on this conversation trying to keep people divided in this conversation. And so now the black folks are proud of the fact. They say, you know what, we're gonna own our blackness. Oh, all of a sudden you own your blackness. No, we've been owning our blackness ever since y'all been roasting us for being black.
And so she's been owning her blackness. And I think that's always funny to me. She didn't look like an Indian woman until she got money enough for a silk press. Till she got money enough for that good press. If them college pictures with that bump up mushroom hairstyle.
Hear me when I tell you. I tell people all the time, I'm from Hampton, Virginia. Hampton, Virginia, known for Hampton University. My grandmother went to Hampton Institute, class of 1933. But I'm a proud Spartan, behold the green and gold. But hear me when I tell you, I entertained the ladies of Hampton University. That's a certain look and feel that the sisters had,
Look
and they had
and
the same look
feel.
at Howard. It's a certain bourgeoisie. You have a lot of women of all tones that are there, from dark skin to fair skin to coming from all. Kamala Harris looks like any woman that I knew growing up, any girl I knew growing up that went to Hampton, that went to Howard, that went to A&T, that went to Union or any other schools that I would go hang out with during holidays or during homecomings,
She
right?
looked like old girl from a different world. What was her name? The one with the annoying voice. I can't think of her
You
name.
talking about
I know
one of
her
all the
name.
cartoon voices? Or you talking
No,
about
not
you talking
Summer
about
Cree.
you're not talking about Creed, you're talking about Jasmine Guy.
Yes, I knew her real name. I didn't know her character, but she looks like Jasmine. She looked like Jasmine
She
Guy.
she looked like she would hang with a Jasmine Guy type, and they were running around all the streets of Hampton, Virginia, all the time. We knew Hampton girls out in them streets. We knew, and they were black. They were
She
sisters.
looked like she could be on the set of School Days with them other girls whose names I also came she looks like every other light skinned black girl.
Jigaboos, and the wannabes. Yep.
The wannabes. It wasn't until she got older, it looked like, and started pressing her hair that people started saying, "Well, you look more Indian." Well, again, I relate.
Let me ask you, because I don't know enough Indian people to
Yeah.
look at her and say anything about her looks nothing but black. Are there Indian folks who
No.
look like Kamala?
No, no.
Right.
The reason why I say that is because, and we talked about this on the show before, Indian men do not marry black women. They don't. It is, or Indian women don't marry black men. That is not something that happens. It's a very, 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 very rare thing. I know you're like, well, you married an Indian guy. I'm one black woman in the room when we go to events. It's just me.
Right.
It's just me every time
Right.
we go somewhere. Occasionally,
Right.
if Omar's uncle is in town, his wife is black, but it's me and her in a sea of 500 Indian people whenever we go to events and weddings and so on and so forth.
Right.
So there aren't people who look like Kamala. And I have a weird feeling that back in those days, Kamala being a mixed child in an Indian household had to be weird for her too. Because they probably weren't 100% accepting of that. They weren't.
Well, her dad ain't nothing, and wasn't nothing questionable about her father. Her father was a Jamaican brother. You can look at him, you can tell. They grew up in Oakland. I've never been to Oakland. I've always had this vibe about Oakland that it's really, really a cool city to live in. I've always just kind of feel like they just had that vibe. Really, really black city. Black Panther started there, the whole nine. But,
But Kamala is black. She is black. And yes, she is doing a little much on the black side, like my brother Quavo and getting Megan the Stallion. It's a little I'm blackity black and I'm black, y'all, and she doesn't really need to do that. But she's black.
Yes,
and we all get messed up like this. We all
She needs to do that. Because she has to activate the young audience. She has to activate that young demographic. We're not talking about kids. Quavo's 30. Meg the Stallion.
Oh no, yeah. He's grown. I think he might be a little bit younger than me, right?
Right. I don't think, Quavo is probably in his early 30s. I thought Megan Thee Stallion was younger than she is because she just graduated college seemingly a couple of years ago. But she's 29.
Not a couple of years ago.
It wasn't more than 3.
It was more than 3. She graduated from school like 4 years ago.
Okay. All right. Well.
What? I'm just saying. Yeah. She's everybody grown.
Everybody grown. But there's a difference, and kudos to my brother and my daughter, my oldest daughter, when they were telling me 2 years ago, Biden got to go. He too old. We tired of blah, blah, blah. And I'm listening like, okay, the only other option is Donald Trump. I ain't hearing no more of this. The only other option is that, Kamala runs in 4 years once Joe Biden, does his 2 terms. And then this precipitous decline that we watched over the last year. And I was done when I saw that debate, and I was just like, oh, hell, this is not good. And so, the whole thing with Kamala is that she's skipping a lot of process that I just hope this doesn't happen again. This is why.
This can never happen again.
It can happen again. Just hoping that it doesn't become the norm. Because she hasn't gone through the primary process. She hasn't had to even talk about what issues she's standing on. Right now, she is winning a homecoming queen election, is what she's winning. She's winning this, thank God we have a choice. Thank God no longer is Joe Biden the old guy in the room. Now Donald Trump is the old guy in the room. She
has to start doing interviews. You can't just come and say a couple of things to the press when you're getting off the plane and then running to your flight, or you have to. She does. She has to start doing interviews.
Here's the thing. She will. I believe that it'll be done once we get through this process of her identifying who her VP is. She's not afraid of cameras. That's not even something I'm worried about. You know what I mean? She's not. But here's the thing: if she's really taking Trump's strategy and throwing it in his face by doing the rallies, by going from city to city to city doing these tours. Something Trump's done for the last 8 years, right? It wasn't something Biden didn't have the appetite for that. Kamala has the appetite for that. Kamala has the audience for that. And so they ain't got to do but one debate. You step on that stage one time, and this nonsense, Trump says, I'm only going to do a debate if we do it on Fox in an arena, and I get to choose who the debate moderators are. This is not wrestling. You don't. Nobody else
he doesn't get to choose, but his frustration. I get his beef. You get his beef too.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
We agreed to me debating Joe Biden at ABC. Fine, whatever, I'll do it. Now you guys are changing the opponent. The least y'all can give me is the venue if y'all gonna change the opponent last minute.
No, ABC, no, I don't get that at all. Because here's the thing.
Well, really quick.
ABC.
This will help you transition. This will help you transition into the next thing, just so we can keep it moving a little bit. Speaking of ABC, he got the crap smacked out of him at NABJ by an ABC moderator.
ABC
Ashley,
moderator.
so
correct.
Take it away, Miguel.
And so, because here's the thing, when I heard about this, him being at NABJ, you know, I started going through and doing the check mark. I said, okay. You got 3 moderators. You got 1 from ABC, which normally ABCs and the major networks, the ABCs, the NBCs, the CBS, they try their best to be as middle of the road as possible. He killed that out the gate, right? He killed that out the gate here with Miss Scott because he was so visceral in his response, his first response to her out the gate. And some people say, well, you know, she asked some questions and you know, she didn't tell a lie. She ran down exactly what this man has done and what he has said and said, taking all this into account, why do you believe that black people should vote for you? And here's your opportunity. And the first thing he wants to do is turn it into an attack. That wasn't an audience for that. But that's what he decided he wanted to take that hour, which turned into 37 minutes. Because as soon as they brought up Project 2025, they like, okay, cut his mic. We're done. We're out.
And we talked about this in our production meeting. I do agree to a little bit. That with people like Trump, you do have to massage their ego a little bit. It's gross. It's disgusting. Nobody wants to give Trump a hand job on stage. Nobody does. But he's the type of person that you have to do a little bit. I feel like she, again, treat him like a frog you're about to cook. You got to put him in the cold water, put the pot on the stove, and slowly warm it up. She could have been nice to him. You know, hey, thank you so much for coming. Why does
he need to be nice to her? Why does she need to be nice to him?
Because it makes him look like a dick. So if he would have, if she would have,
like a dick. So that
no, he still did.
Yeah,
but he still has that.
We knew what he was going to do. He is the same person. The only time he shows some contrition is when he had blood trickling down his ear. Other than that,
I didn't think he was going to go that hard in the paint at her because it wasn't even worth it. It wasn't worth going that hard in the paint, and so much so they caught off Harris Faulkner, who usually is just lapdogging for Trump, but she was like, "Ooh," that's all she said was "ooh," but Trump. I don't know who's on his team advising him. And we would say there's a black person, but there's no way there's a black person on his team advising him because, again, if that was me or Miguel, though we would never do this for Trump, we would have told him, when she asked you this question, it's going to come off rude and disrespectful. But what you need to do is look at the audience, not the interviewers, and answer the goddamn question why you're better. That's all you need to do.
But he doesn't have a great answer for that. Here's the thing, and you bring up a great point. It is so bad the way they're running their campaign right now. It's like it's so bad that it's almost like he's trolling us and saying the gloves are off. I'm going to show you how white I am. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to bring in J.D. Vance, who has been a state senator for 18 months. All of 18 months, he's been a state senator. He wrote a book that supposedly turned into a pretty good movie. That's about it. And then he grew a beard. And then all of a sudden, he's the vice presidential candidate. And this guy is talking about if you have children, every child should count for a vote. But the kids don't control their own vote. We as parents, we control the vote because we deserve it because we're contributing more to it. And I'm paraphrasing this, but I'm not telling a lie. Everything about him saying
You're not lying. That's pretty close to what he said.
Pretty close to what he said. So you believe if you have children, that gives you more votes. Because here's the thing. Here's what we know. Here's what we know. The white population has been shrinking for many, many years. And it continued to shrink. And it's not anything you can do about it. It is what it is. People are interracial dating, interracial marriages, having kids that are biracial, whatever. You know, and one thing you know is that the melanin is pretty dominant. You get that melanin in your seed pool, and
except for Leela,
it's gonna be hard to hide it. So then you got this going on with JD Vance. Then you got Project 2025. They're coming out and said we are pulling the gloves off. Here we are all about this level of trying to save who we are, and it's insane. And so now you have all the stuff trying to call her dumb. This woman who's not too sharp. This woman who has a law degree.
Trying to call her a hoe.
You just going to the bottom and the bottom and the bottom of the barrel in this conversation. It is.
And to ultimate sin, we see your comment saying, you know, it's all about being human. It's all about being race. We got to drop this BS. But Trump's not dropping the BS. Trump is questioning her blackness. We are questioned about our color, our race, who stands with what, and that's why it is in the discussion. Now, I do agree with you. There's so much more to talk about. I mean, but they're talking about the wrong things. Nobody's talking about policy. Kamala and Trump included. And now there's a new story out that has nothing to do with Kamala, is that Doug Emhoff, her husband, had an affair with the nanny, I want to say 20 years ago, 18 years ago, and he had a break baby. He had a Dwayne Wade. He had a break baby. That's what it's called, a break baby.
What is a break baby? Never heard that term.
You know what a break baby. We on a break and I had a baby. That's what Dwayne Wade's son is called, a break baby.
Okay. So he was separated from his previous wife and he had.
Well, no, his is not really a break baby. His is just a side chick kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
I want to address this from Ultimate Sin, who's in our comments. It's not about race, man. It's about human beings in the United States. You got to drop that BS. I don't, because this is the life that we live. But I also have a question for you, Ultimate Sin. Who is the most prominent non-white male that has operated in the Trump atmosphere over the course of his runs, his presidency? You know, it's a pretty short list. You got Ben Carson. You got Ben
Marco
Carson.
Rubio.
Huh?
Marco Rubio?
Marco Rubio is not directly in his sphere. Marco Rubio was
you mean, okay, I get what you mean.
So my point is that when white folks start talking about it's not about race, it's all about assimilation. Now I've told this story before when I was invited to the NRA convention when it came to Atlanta probably 8 or 10 years ago. And I was sitting in this dinner, their minority engagement dinner. And I'm sitting in there and I'm just like, this is crazy. And so they started talking about assimilation, and they started talking about the Africans that were coming from Africa and coming to Europe, and they refused to assimilate. That is the same issue that white folks who are white supremacists have with black folks and Hispanics and women, because people won't fall in line. And for people to always say it's not about race, it is absolutely about race. This caste system in America is absolutely about race. Anybody that starts to climb that ladder, old Dolphin Teeth out there in South Carolina, Tim Scott or Clarence Thomas, and the things that he's been in that position for 30 years. And what has he done in that position for 30 years for people who look like him? Nothing.
And even worse, these black men who have been on Trump's side, he's never done anything for you. Right. What has he done for Tim Scott?
He's let him be in his proximity. And white men like Donald Trump believe that is enough. I've let you be in my space and benefit from being in my space. And you got this white girl over here that's on your side, and that's all well and good. I've always said, love who you love. But that's not the reason that Tim Scott's of the world and the guy, what's his name, Donald or Arnold, whatever the black dude with the beard now that's running around. You know what I'm talking about, the black dude.
I know you're talking about. I can't think of his name right now. Names are escaping me right now.
You know, and it's so crazy because I'm always so mindful of this. there are so many allies and so many white folks that are so tired of this shit too. They are so tired of where we are. And it would be lovely, ultimate sin, if it was really about the merits of your ability, if it was really about
Absolutely.
it was really about the type of person that you are and the kindness and the things you live by. But that ain't America.
Look at
America
what they've
is
done
a
with the
caste system.
term. Look what they've done with the term DEI
Yeah,
or
right.
DEI.
DEI,
Sorry,
the
look what,
diversity, equity, inclusion.
sorry.
Somehow that's become race based,
It's
and it's
become
all
a
about
race-based bad
right,
word, awful thing because
right,
it's gotten more not by black people again, by
right,
white people, liberal and conservatives,
right,
would turn into something that we didn't ask for. Diversity, inclusion, all we wanted it to be is that you're not looking at resumes, looking at our names and
right,
deciding, oh, I know so and so is black. I know
right,
so and so is Indian. I know so and so
right,
is Asian. So I'm going to do it like that. No, forget the name. Just look at the resume. We are not looking for equal outcome. We're looking for an equal time at the starting point. That is what,
right,
as black people, diversity, equity, and inclusion was supposed to mean.
right.
Instead, liberal white people took it somewhere that it didn't need to be, and then conservative right wing white people were like, "Oh, well, that's racist, that's bad, that's this," and they're like, "Well, here, brown people here, it doesn't mean none of the stuff y'all think it means. None of it."
You know, when you hear this senator from wherever he's from talking about Kamala Harris was a DEI hire, you don't go to LinkedIn or and go put in an application to be the vice president of the United States. You don't put in an
Or the
application to
attorney
be
general.
or the attorney general. You have to run. She won an election in a state which is probably the fifth largest economy by itself in the world, and that state, the people voted that they wanted her. That wasn't a LinkedIn recommendation. That was her earning that role. When it came down to her being the vice presidential candidate, they made that choice to put her on that ticket with Joe Biden because she brought value to that position. The DEI conversation, when I know people, black folks who are running corporations, have ran corporations, or have very prominent roles in some of these corporations, and you look at it and say, these people don't even get the conversation without having 3 times as much experience doing the work as the average average white guy that comes and all of a sudden, because he goes to the country club and gets a leapfrog so many other qualified people. We as black folks, we understand that. We have no choice but to accept it.
Yeah.
And when we say we got to be 2 and 3 times better than anybody to get those opportunities, it's the truth. And for folks to believe that that's not a reality, at this point, I'm done apologizing. I'm done making excuses and trying to make folks feel good. There are plenty of well-meaning white folk, white women, white guys that are out here and says, "Man, bro, I get it. You're one of the breasts. You can do what you can do." But the ones out here who are sitting back like the governor, Brian Kemp sat back this week and watched Trump drag his name through the mud at this rally. But he still puts out a message on Twitter or on social media basically saying we got to focus on defeating Kamala Harris and not all the personal attacks. Paraphrasing. He basically got on that stage in your state, in your city, where your house is right down the street, and called you trash in your city. I would much rather the Brian Kemps and the Raffenspergers of the world say nothing. Let him languish out there and figure out how to win this state without you.
And let me say this to ultimate sin, because this is coming up because of you. I have been in my field as a digital advertising analyst for 12, going on 13 years. Right now, actively right now, there is another agency who is run by a white man who does an awful job, horrible job. He has no idea what he's doing. But the brand that we both work for is consistently telling me, "Oh, you need to include Sean. You need to include Sean. Sean knows what he's doing." And I have to constantly say, he doesn't. He has no idea what he's doing, guys. He has made 5 billion mistakes, $2,000 mistakes, like $1,000 mistakes that I've had to fix. And the brand doesn't care because Sean is a white male who owns an agency and he must know everything. It's gotten to the point now where the brand is actually telling me, "Hey, we need you to give stuff for Sean to do." And I'm like, you think I have time to give something for him to do? The big shot agency who should be doing this without me having to tell him and dictate to him? Right. No, I don't have time for that.
Right.
I don't. Right. And that's Trust me, it's frustrating and annoying.
Sure it is. Sure it is. It should be frustrating and annoying, but that's the life that we as African Americans we deal with in our careers, and we have to grin and bear it. And we're finally getting to a point. There's enough opportunity. There's enough opportunity for Black folks to start businesses and run businesses. The gatekeepers are gone. Now, where the gatekeepers are still residing in the access to capital arenas, right? And so I'm all about everybody playing their role, playing their position. There's some really, really wealthy white Black folks that are moving themselves up the ranks, and they're doing really well. And then being able to connect with some of them to help other people bring their businesses up or doing more business with more African Americans. Here's the thing, and I'm sure you can attest to this. I'm sure Indian folks are doing a lot of business with Indian folks, right? I'm pretty sure we know Asian folks are doing a lot of business with Asian folks. So is Hispanics. Yep. And so Black folks need to be unapologetic about the fact that if I can get a Black person to come handle my plumbing or a Black banker or a Black lawn care, I'm going to do it, because that same Black plumber, Black lawn care person, Black eye doctor is not going to have a lot of white folks walking through their door.
No.
And so if we don't support them, then who will?
So let's go into something else before we go into our Olympic coverage closer there. Is the Georgia poll portal for removing voters from the rolls?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that story, so I will let you lead because I'm not familiar with that story.
Yeah. So the same man that Donald Trump was trashing is a part of the apparatus. That there's a concern in Georgia that people's names are being removed by random people who can go in and say, oh, this person isn't registered, or this person has some issues, and there's a so-called problem with the software. And so this is a story that needs to be all over MSNBC and CNN and the local news, because people need to really go into the Georgia Secretary of State's website and make sure that they are registered, because there's an opportunity. If you walk up to them, you walk up to go vote in November, and they say you're not registered. And that's the type of stuff that we got to stop thinking that just because people like Raffensperger and Kemp can't stand Trump, that they still not going to support him. And so there should be a whole campaign from the state of Georgia to really get people to make it their place to go out here to these. But there's no campaign running on television to encouraging people to do that. And so you got these Trump election deniers that are now have these positions that could affect with the electoral college and all that. And then you had these type of situations. We need to be careful. We need to be careful while we're focusing on our hatred. And I'm always careful using that word. My grandmother was very intentional that I didn't use that word unless I really meant it. But our hatred for Donald Trump and the MAGA movement is a distraction from the fact that a state like the state of Georgia with 159 counties and a bunch of cities and a bunch of counties and a bunch of municipalities, a bunch of water authorities and all this stuff that Black folks aren't paying any attention to. Hispanics and women and young people are not paying any attention to who is giving out those contracts in the state of Georgia to build these roads. Because everywhere in Georgia, especially in the Atlanta area, and then going down to Savannah, which Savannah is becoming a major hub, there's so much contract money out there. It's crazy. And we've got to make sure that we're a part of that. There's a video I'm going to run it before we get up out of here, because we had an event with Lorraine Cochran Johnson, who's the new CEO of DeKalb County, which is the second or third largest county in the state of Georgia. And one thing she mentioned, she said, if you're not doing business with government, you're not doing business. And there's so many of us, under 2% of Black folks in the state of Georgia, are doing business with any sort of local state. That's what we need to focus on. That's where we need to spend a lot more energy instead of worrying about Trump.
If you wanted me to interject, I don't have anything. So
okay,
great model.
All right. Well, what you want to talk about next? Because I see you got.
So let's go into our Olympic coverage. We're gonna lighten up. Well, no, this first story ain't gonna be light, but we're gonna go into the Olympic coverage.
Am I hot wanting it yet? Or no?
No, you can't hot with this.
Okay, what are we doing?
That's not nice.
What are we
doing? Are talking about the Algerian boxer Arman Khalif, who basically got unfairly called a man on an international stage by an Italian boxer. So she was actually fighting an Italian boxer. They come into the ring together, the two women, and Arman knocks her in the face. And it was hard.
Yeah.
The girl gets hit so hard, she buckles to her knees, stops the fight, and stops fighting and starts crying in the middle of the arena or in the ring. Arman looks confused. She's trying to comfort the girl. The girl's not trying to hear it. And then the girl made some weird comments about, I got hit really hard and I don't know. It's something that made people start questioning Arman Khalif's gender. And once that happened, it was off to the races on social media. Yeah. Everybody is calling her a man. The IOC, not the IOC, the IAB, which is not even recognized as a national or an international organization of boxing, says that Arman was disqualified because she had tested positive for having an XY chromosome. Come to find out, they were never able to test this and have no idea what they're talking about. And it's just, people have been discussing her, calling her a man, calling her trans. Now, guys, the biggest thing we can know that this woman was born female is that she's from Algeria. Algeria is an African nation. Mm-hmm. An African nation that's properly Muslim. They would never have a transgender person represent their Muslim country. They would never have a person who is questioning or intersex represent their country. Mm-hmm. Arman Khalif is a woman. She is dealing with maybe some hormonal polycystic ovarian system. I've seen several pictures of her where sometimes she looks like a girl, sometimes she looks like a guy. She's a woman. And this whole outcry, and also it was really pushed by J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter book, saying, how dare we let a man get into the ring and hit a woman? What are your thoughts?
So yes, if she is a woman, which she is, obviously, that all the records and everything they're saying is saying she's a woman, then she has the right to be in that ring. And that's it when it comes down to if she is a woman, which they said that she is. When I saw that first punch, I was like, I felt that myself. But here's the thing. And they say, once the people are doing the research, they say she's lost fights before, 2 women, and so it's not been something where this is just. But the larger conversation, still continues. We talked about this a couple of years ago with the transgender swimmer, who was not in the top 200 swimmers as a man. 2 years later, transgender into a woman and won medals, won national championships at Penn State, I think it was. And we have to be mature enough to make the 2 different conversations. That's really where we have to be. And then when you start talking about, because there's I don't want to use the word disease because that's what I've read, but I got to make sure I check my sources on whatever condition that she has.
Yeah, she has a medical condition where hormones, mainly testosterone, is believed to be overly produced in her body. Mm-hmm. And this is something that a lot of women deal with. Again, there's a version of it that people are familiar with, polycystic ovarian syndrome. And there's another one where women who are women happen to grow facial hair because their hormones are so off balance. Mm-hmm. It causes them to grow hair on their faces. Mm-hmm. So it is a real syndrome that women do deal with. Are you Googling it? Because I'm about to Google too. No. So what I felt bad about was after Iman, because she didn't win gold, she won bronze, which is 3rd place at this. And hearing her cry and being so just devastated, not that she only won bronze, but that people are calling her a man. Like the fact that her father has to come out. And it's just like, what are y'all talking about? Her country is coming out saying, why are you all saying this? And when you hear her voice throughout the years, she's always sounded like a woman. That's the one thing that always gives intersex and trans people away, is their voice. This woman sounds like a woman. They show her pictures of her as a little girl. You could tell before puberty hit, because there was no issue before puberty, she looks like a little girl. Like all the other little girls in her little classroom, she looked like all the other little girls. Right. It's when puberty hit is when the syndrome took place and she became masculine. And listen, boxing and the structure your body has to have don't help nothing, because now you beefed up on top and
She's her arms are, and it's funny. One of our favorite people, Keith Reed, he kind
What
of
do you
went off
say?
on him on a couple of things. He talked about, I'm gonna help a lot of y'all avoid being loud and wrong today. You ready? If you don't take, what he said, if you didn't take biology past eighth or ninth grade, you don't understand sanctioning bodies of blood testing and boxing. Just do like this here. When somebody on your timeline starts hollering about the let a man fight a woman, blah blah blah. And I just love how he closed out, dude who actually boxes and was an NABJ board member. He talked about NABJ. If you have an opinion about NABJ, inviting the orange guy to Chicago to speak, and you ain't never been an NABJ member, who we know Keith was a former board member of NABJ.
Yeah.
His point on both of
So
those
many
was
stories.
that sometimes, a lot of times, we're loud and wrong. And folks got to slow down. The NABJ thing with inviting Trump, that's something they do all the time. They invite both sides. It's just because it's Trump that it smells so bad. And then
But
the whole
no, there was another woman they were saying was also a man, and that was the U.S. female rugby player. I can't think of her name right now. Oh,
mm,
Leona Mayer. Leona Mayer, they're saying, was born a man, and she's also like, "What are y'all talking about? Like, I'm a rugby player. I just happen to be built like this. Like, what else I was
mhm.
supposed to do built like this? I was either going to be a rugby player or stay at home and
Leona
die
Mayer.
alone."
I saw her talking on television, I
She
believe.
wears bright red lipstick all the time. That is like her
Mayor,
trademark thing.
like mayor of a city. Is that her?
Uh, Maher.
I think I did see her recently, and that's my kids are athletes, right? And so I look at this stuff, and some of it is. Let me see. Is this? I don't. Let me see. I don't see. I don't know. You have to send me a link. Drop me a link in the chat so I can pull it up.
I don't know. She's pretty to me. I mean, she
Yeah.
just has masculine features because of the sports that she plays. Here, I'm putting in the
Yeah.
guest chat.
Yeah. So, we just got to be careful, man. We got to be respectful of folks. And I just, man, social media just gives people much larger access and ability to be the buttholes that they are. And that's always something that sometimes I have to slow down. And here is come on. I don't log into my social media on this computer too much. But I think it's coming up now. So, yeah, save my login. Yeah. All right. So you start
But
talking
look at
about
the middle picture right there.
which one? This one?
Is that a man?
No, it's
That
not a
one.
man. No, that's not a man. Absolutely not. So she wanted. What did she win? Bronze. So
Yeah,
congratulations to
bronze
Ms.
in
Mayer
rugby.
for her winning her in rugby, man. Oh my God, I don't want to run
It's
across her.
rugby. How is she supposed to look? She's supposed to be
Yeah,
a great rugby player, and she out here
yeah.
looking like Beyonce. That's not how stuff works. It's
That's
not.
not how it
And,
works. In some of those
but I
collisions
do
that
have
I
a
see.
question for you and Tracy.
Yeah,
Because your girls do play sports.
yeah.
Do you guys ever want to make sure or help the girls, or do they care? Like, how is it when you want to make sure your daughters, though they are athletes, still remain dainty and cute? Because I know my mom, when I played basketball
Mm-hmm,
for a while, and my
mm-hmm.
mom still made sure I was dainty and cute, even though I was nasty and dirty most of the week because of basketball. So how are you guys handling that with the
Well,
girls?
Layla is she's a fashionista. She's she does that on her own. I mean,
Mhm.
both of our younger daughters, and even my oldest daughter. My oldest daughter, as beautiful as she is, she still loves to wear, jeans and big sweatshirts, and that's what she chooses. She's an adult. She's 24 years old, so it is what it is. We pretty much let the girls express themselves the way that they want to express themselves, right? They all three have three very distinct personalities. And so,
Absolutely.
right. And so, now anybody running around here, showing too much or none of that, it's so funny. The girls went to a sleepover. One of our basketball, my girls' best friends are their basketball teammates. And one of the girls had a
Mhm.
birthday party the other day, and it was just the birthday party was them going over one of their friends' house, having a party at the house, and dressing up like they were all from TLC from the '90s, and they just kids being kids, right? It was fun little environment.
That's cute.
And they put a little bit of makeup on, and they walked by me like, "Ooh, does Dad know we got on makeup?" And I'm looking like, because Michelle's birthday just passed. She just turned 13, and Layla's 11, and I'm old school. So and here's the thing: my daughters are, they're 13 and 11, but they're tall and they're
They're
athletes.
tall.
Right. So it's one of those things where that's the thing that people have to understand and respect men like me or men in general. Understand that we know men. We know how men react. We know how men move. Right. You got to be careful. Dangling the carrot out there around certain type of men.
The same thing happened to me because
Yeah.
I was 12, but I was really tall, and men would think I was grown, and my mom would look mortified. Like,
Yeah.
she's 12. Like,
Yeah.
she's 12.
Right. Right. Back up. And it's so funny because I spend so much time around girl basketball players that I forget how tall their whole peer group is. Because when we walked the hallways for the open house last week, this is the first year for the girls, Layla's first year in middle school, we walked the hallway for open house. I'm walking the hallway with Michelle and Layla, and I'm looking at these other girls that are supposedly that are their age, and they look like shrimps. All these itty bitty little girls walking around in comparison to mine, because I got one that's probably almost 5'9", and one is pushing 5'7", and the other girls run around there 5'1" and 5'2", but they're their age, right? And so those are the things that make you be like, But because I don't see these kids all the time, and all the girls that I see are all tall and big like my girls. They're giants like my girls.
They're giants.
Right. So, we call the shrimps that are running around 5'3" and 5'4" and 5'5". And it's just like, oh, you're the little girl. No, compared to your classmates, you're tall too. But that's where we are.
Well, I hope Amon plans, because she's talking about taking legal action against certain people, and I hope she does. I hope that she fights and that she's respected. And I also feel sorry for her because of how she's raised. I most likely imagine that even though she's a boxer, she's still a woman. She probably dreams of getting married and having kids and all that kind of stuff. And the more people call you ugly on an international floor, the more you maybe realize that those other dreams that you have might not be possible. And I know how gut wrenching that can be, and how sad and disappointing that can be. So I'm sorry for her, and I really wish her nothing but the best in her family. And
no,
get a stylist and you'll be fine.
Whatever she chooses to do with her life, and like even with Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner's wife just had a child, and there was
Brittany Griner's different.
How is Brittany Griner? Well, I'm not going to finish my thought. Tell me why you feel Brittany Griner is different.
If Brittany Griner transitioned tomorrow, would any of us be surprised, care, or notice that she transitioned? Because what would she have to do to transition?
She ain't transitioning. She don't have to transition. She's got a wife.
No.
And,
What if she decided to transition tomorrow? What would she do to transition? She already talks like a guy. She has no chest. She is 6'8". She doesn't even want her son to call her mom. She is Pop or whatever name.
But
I don't understand why she doesn't just change her name to Brandon and call it a damn day.
No, and I'm not gonna get deep into the weeds into that LGBTQIA conversation, but Brittany is who she wants to be, and she's living her life.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, she's got a wife. They got a kid. She wants to be called.
But Brittany is living as a man. Brittany has a transition, but Brittany is living as a.
I don't think.
The right term
is
for it.
She living as a man. I don't know.
There's a right term for it. She is living as a masculine-facing lesbian. That's what it's called. Masculine-facing lesbian.
Okay, but she's not living life as a man, and that's something that I have to, as a dude who grew up in hip hop. One of the most, and I don't give a dog. As a dude who's 52 years old, have to continue to evolve and let people live their lives. I've never been one out here in these streets protesting and screaming and talking about this. No, people live. But here's the thing: I done listen to a lot of homophobic music in my life. It's all of that. But I look at it now like this is Brittany Griner's life and her wife, and they have a child, and however what makes them happy. Makes them happy. It is what it is. It's too stressful to sit up here and try to make people do something they don't want to do. That's their lives to live.
So let's wrap the show. We didn't really do a what, but because something very traumatic happened last night on HBO Max, and we're going to spend the last 5 minutes. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen House of the Dragon finale, we're talking about it right now. the finale of season 2. Because it was such a dramatic situation for everybody. Omar, if you would like to come in here, feel free. The season 2 finale aired last night, like I said, and it was
trash.
It was trash. It was literally a trailer for season 3, which is not what anybody asked for nor wanted. Wasn't a dragon, wasn't a fight, wasn't a blade raised, wasn't a punch in the face. It was a snooze fest.
Yeah, I just Trey and I literally sat there. Trey and I literally sat there and said, "That's it."
Oh, here he comes.
That's it, and then we gotta wait. We gotta wait like 2. And I want Omar here too for the other part of this conversation around old boy being.
Hold on, let me see if I can.
Old boy being Dr. Doom. I
no,
really
hold on.
that too. You can't even.
We only have one head soap, so here, Omar, put this.
All right. Okay.
There you go.
So.
Hold in your ear.
Brother, what's up, man? Can you hear me?
Oh, did I just mess up the audio? Can you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep. Hey.
Can you hear me, Omar?
You too.
Okay. So anyway, all right. Last night, House of Dragons. Let him in the screen. Give him some screen time.
There we go.
Screen hog. House of Dragon. How terrible was it for you? And I am leading the question.
Yeah,
I'm leading the witness.
Game of Thrones, gotta have it. Yeah, it was. When I say horrible, it took me back to the last episode of Game of Thrones. I'm like, here we go again.
Dude, why?
And guess what?
We're
gonna watch season 3 because we gotta have something to look forward to.
You know what's so crazy you say that, because I spent this entire season trying to follow. I'll sit there with Trey and just like, okay, tell me again why. Like at the end when the sister who they tried to wants to, and if y'all ain't watch it, I don't care. The sister
we don't care.
who Helena, I was looking at Trey like, who is that? She was like, but she hadn't been in that many scenes.
I'm like telling her that you can watch it live on Sunday. We don't have to wait till tomorrow or Tuesday to watch it. So we're sitting here. She stays up. We're watching it. She's like the first time watching it live, right? Yeah. So we're watching it. She's saying all the names, right? All the characters. I'm like, who's that again? Like, she's truly following this more than I am, but I am more upset.
Yo,
because I read the fan fiction. I read the fan fiction about all the characters. Like I'm this close to getting the book series or putting it.
And I bet you the book will be better.
Yeah, that's what people say. But let's talk about some key points that are really crazy. Rhaena, Prince Daemon's daughter with his wife who died, is still chasing that dragon that she was chasing from the last episode.
I was talking about the black girl with the blonde hair, right?
Yes.
Help me to understand what the hell was going on there.
So Rhaena really wants to be a dragon rider, but she's not able to do it. She almost died trying to ride Vhagar. That is how Aemon got Vhagar, because she almost got killed. He had to sneak in and do it. So she's trying to find a dragon. And the dragon she's trying to find is called Sheep Stealer, because he has never been owned. He's just been roaming free and he kills people's sheep. And she's trying to catch him. Like she's trying to catch fireflies.
So she's just running out in the woods, drinking lake water and everything, trying to chase down this dragon. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
She's Dora the Explorer.
So now that part, I get that part. So then for a minute, we pretty much from the beginning, the dude that is, I don't remember none of their names. The one who kept hallucinating all season long.
Damon. Prince Daemon.
From the beginning of this series, he was like, is he the Night Walker? I'm like,
yes, I think he ends up being the Night Walker. He's the original Night Walker.
Right.
The Night King.
That would make sense to me, because even they walk alike, the whole cadence of how they move. And then when they had the scene at the end where he had all of these visions and the Night King is part of his vision. Like, is he saying he's seeing that, or he's going to become? We'll find that out.
We'll find that out. The other storyline that I think is very interesting is Aegon. Aegon is he's in rehab.
He's the one that's burnt up.
He's the one who's burnt up like a chicken nugget.
Yeah.
In bed, with going through rehabilitation and trying to figure stuff out. And he talks about, I thought it was very poetic that he said his penis got burnt off. The reason why is because he had been sexually assaulting girls in all these whorehouses or whatever it's called forever. So now he has to deal with that. He's losing his throne. He's scared of his brother, and the only person he can rely on is clubfoot Laird Strong. Like, so that's it.
Yeah.
You know what we could have done without though? The Lannister guy going to the Sea City. We didn't need that.
Right, and dancing in the fighting in the mud with the other. Like, I was like, what was the point? And then the dude who kept running his mouth because he finally got a dragon. Now he want to talk crap and put his feet on people's table and everything. I was just
so inappropriate.
And so when it was all said and done, I was looking forward to somebody getting a behind whoop, and then he just said, "Nah, we good. We'll see y'all in 2 years."
Yeah.
The only SmackDown was Helena basically telling him, "You can't make me do anything," and he was like, "Well, I'll kill you." So, and that's not gonna change anything. Bye, boy. I'm out. What you gonna do? Nothing.
Right.
But that was it. Everything else was
okay. Can
lar.
So can we switch gears to the Dr. Doom conversation? Because I know y'all got opinions, and I know you got an opinion, because that really was annoying to me. And people want to tell me, "Well, you ain't read the card." No, I have not read the comics. I don't give a damn about the comics. Yeah, I am a casual. I'm a self-proclaimed casual.
What are you saying, Miguel?
Can you hear me?
This is the closest thing they're going to get to replacing Jonathan Majors.
But here's the thing. You could not find...
That's what they came up with.
You could not find any actor of prominence. You just going to bring a guy that you killed off?
Yeah, they just killed off the entire story. Like the whole Kang dynasty, like that would have been great, and they might come back to it. It might be in phase 10 or 11.
They'll come back to it once all this dies down, but they're letting it go right now.
They're letting it go right now, and bringing back Downey. I love the guy, but I don't see him as a bad guy.
So, do you understand why they can bring him back? Right?
I hear the whole story about a variant, and I've heard about in the comics at one point that. I don't care. I'm not that invested. I watched Robert Downey Jr. have one of the best deaths in a movie 4 years ago, and then all of a sudden they bring him back. Oh, not really. He ain't really dead. We gonna make him somebody else.
Did you see Deadpool and Wolverine?
I have not, and I've already heard
that first.
Oh yeah, do that, because that'll explain. It explains a lot in a funny, goofy, messed up way.
Watch that first, and you'll have a better understanding as to why they were going this way.
I guess I'll do that, because Deadpool to me is dead. I feel the same way about Deadpool I do about the Ant-Man. It's just too goofy. It's too juvenile for me.
This is good.
Hey, spoiler alert, Wesley Snipes is in it. Why? I don't know, but he's there.
Yeah, I heard that because I saw him on an interview basically saying he didn't think it was really going to happen because Mahershala Ali is already supposed to be playing Blade. So why they bring him back?
The new version.
Right. So
anyway, it's all them trying to make money and trying to make money the smart way. I think they really messed up with not sticking by Jonathan Majors. I know what they had to. It's all messy. It's all very, very messy because now Marvel is trying to make up money, like $153 million project they're trying to make up for with Robert Downey Jr. because Robert Downey Jr. is the only one who can bring people to the theaters. Who else were they going to get? They could have got some no-name black kid to play Kang, and nobody would have cared. They were going to the movie. They would have been so mad about it not being Jonathan Majors. I also feel like all the famous black guys who could have played Kang were like, no, Jonathan's our friend. We're not going to take this role from him. So, no. I actually, do you not think that's what happened?
I think the only thing that matters about the race is because primarily that audience is a bunch of incel white dudes. And so that they wanted to see Robert Downey Jr. Be on the screen. I don't even think it's of course, everything a little bit is about race. I don't even think it's about racism. Jonathan Majors is not a big enough star to carry Marvel, right? He's just not.
See, he did this shit to me last time.
He's not a big enough star.
He's on my side.
I hear you.
Exactly.
When it's all said and done, I'm a marketer. He's supposed to be on your side. I ain't got to lay next to you. That's between y'all. But when it's all said and done,
no, I'm just reading the comment there.
If it comes down to Jonathan Major and Robert Downey Jr. as far as who's a draw, of course Robert Downey Jr. is a bigger draw. But I still think it sucks because he went through this whole 10-movie thing. He died. Iron Man died. Move on. And no, we're not going to move on. We tried this for about 4 or 5 years. Most of those movies sucked. All of them, whatever those movies were called, the whatever you call them, the Marvels, and I haven't seen. I think I saw. Which one was the one we didn't know who the villain was? They all had on the same outfit. Was it Marvels? They all had on the same outfit, fighting each other, and it sucked. Exactly.
Because I don't know, your description is awful. You're talking about Age of Ultron. Are you talking about Endgame?
I'm talking about since the last one was Endgame, right? Of that phase. The movies since Endgame have all sucked. The TV series have been better than the movies. The movie.
The TV series have been amazing. WandaVision was a vision.
But what wasn't it Marvel's? The one that had was Angelina Jolie was in that one, I think. Was that the one she was in? Exactly. You don't remember it either.
Oh, no. I know what you're talking about. The Eternals. And the Eternals are very important. It's just their movie didn't pull in what they thought it was, but the Eternals is important to the Marvel story. And that's brought in by Thor Love and Thunder, which you hated Thor Love and Thunder, remember?
I did. It was
yes,
very
I remember
silly.
You hating it.
It was very silly. And so anyway,
we go on for days.
But I'm not the core audience. I'm not the core audience. It ain't for me. I just think they could have done something else besides saying, oh, we made a mistake. Let's just bring Robert Downey Jr. back and save our franchise. I really think that was whack. But anyway, all right, anything else you want to talk about before we get up out of here?
Nope, great show. A lot of information. Can't wait to see this cut up for different spots on YouTube.
Peace and a bye-bye.